Hey guys, so this time I bring you min items with min stack. Okay, is similar to the main stack application we have. So I added this one, but something went wrong in the video. So you will see how this works. I won't add any other item right now. So I have my okay. So this one is using, of course, Mongoose and Mongoose to connect to this Mongo instance on MLab. So I think we're going to start checking the service. Oh, okay, let's go to the first page. This is the first page, the items. You can also click here at item and go to the page that allows you to add other items. So these items is going to get this function. Okay, let me see, because we're looping through these items using the ng style to set the background image here, because this is a background image. Okay, so we are looping through that and we are setting a link to the router, I mean to the ID we have. But how we are getting this? We're getting this using our service. Okay, we go to a service. So we're using GetItems. So let's first start GetItems. So we are here getting the items. You can see that I have this server that is a string that is in this HTTP localhost 8000. So you can also see I even added that. I added the Curology cream, that is this one, but I had to cut that and start again. So we will add something later. So I'm adding the image. Remember that I'm just adding the image. It's the same as the MERN and MERN hooks. That I'm just adding the URL. I'm not uploading any image. Okay, I'm just getting the reference of the image using the URL from Unsplash, and that's it. Setting the description and the amount in dollars. So here we are calling this HTTP client, and we are getting the items route inside the server, that is in this case HTTP localhost 8000 / items. So I can't remember if I showed you my structure. This is it. This is the client, and all this is for the Node Express server. Okay. So let's go to the index. This is the index, that is this file. Okay, the index meaning is the Express, the Node Express server. So in the server we're using .env to manage our credentials. Okay, let's take that out of the way in a second. So I'm exporting this Mongo and my user and my database using the .env. Remember that if you install the .env, you get the ability to add this .environment file. Okay, and you can add your information here. So okay, let's actually go to .env, npm.env. Also, I always show you how to use this, but you just need to install it, npm install, and require the .env config inside your index. Okay, above everything else. So it's called first. Nope, it's not that. And how you're going to set your variables inside your .env, you just set this. Okay, these constants and whatever you want, and you call it using process.env.db host. In this case, is going to call this one. So that's what I'm using inside my connection. I'm using process.fdb user, that I'm calling my user and my data and my password for my database. Okay, I'm not going to show you that. So let's close this one, and that get rid of that env, how to use it. So we're going to require Express. We're going to set an instance of the server using Express. The database connection that I'm calling from database connection, that is this file, you know, the file that I have with my call to Mongo. Body parser, in this case, course, we need course for Angular to be able to connect to Node.js. Body parser to for the JSON response. Okay, here we're using course. You can add this instead of adding all the, yeah, even though I have all this that is allowing the headers. Okay, you can also just leave the course, that should work, but in this case I went for the biggest route, and I'm adding the access control. I'm allowing the origin, the headers, and the authorization, all that. And this one is check the options request for the browser. I'm allowing the options. That is essentially doing the same here with course. So it should work with both of those. If you don't add course, you will need to add this. Okay. And error management. Okay, and this is a little middleware that is going to check if we are able to get the request or not. So here the server is going to use that and respond with an error. Yeah. Yes, we are passing the error. Yes. Okay, so we are running on port 8000, and that's it. New URL parser. Okay, this is the Mongoose. I forgot about this one. This is the Mongoose connection. We call for Mongoose the connect option, and we pass the connection, in this case database connection. That is, it should be, yeah, it's this one. So I'm exporting that. It's going to be a long video. I'm exporting that using database. Okay, so this database has that connection. You can see here, database is going to have a connection. So that's what I'm using here, the connection, and I'm passing this new URL parser through. Okay, because it's required in this case with Mongoose. Then just establishing the connection and saying console.log. After that, we catch any error we have and return that, and that's all. So let's go to the routes that we are more interested in. The routes, well, not more, but not more interested, but yeah, we need to check the routes. So this is the get items. Okay, so remember that. Well, I'll need to go back here to items, not items, because we already know the items is just looping and getting this response. Okay, so we're getting the response going all the way to the component. The component is, nope, this is the app. Okay, we are getting that call from the server, and we are getting this, we are setting these get all items, and we are subscribing to the response, and we are setting just the items data, and we're looping to the data that is coming from the server. That forget that this thing just closes my. Okay, it's overriding the page. Okay. So how we're getting the data from Mongo? We are getting these constant items. We're going to say these constant items and return everything using item find passing an empty object, it's going to respond with everything. So these items is in fact all the things we have in the database. Okay, it's all these 12 items. So that is what we are going to respond using sending the status 200 and responding with this JSON. So let's actually go and close all this shit and open the console. You can see we have this array of 12 that is an elegant suit that is this one. So we are getting all this shit. It's not responsive as I can see. Okay, forgot to add that. It's using Flexbox, so it's just adding the wrap. So you can see the fresh cotton shares and all that shit. Okay, so we are getting that using Node.js connecting through Mongoose, connecting to Mongo through Mongoose, and getting the response inside our service, calling that server, that route inside Node.js, and from there we're bubbling up inside our items. So we're calling these get all items, and you can see that on init we're calling this get all items, that is getting all items from the server and subscribing to that, and just inside these items HTML we're looping through those items and getting all the data. Okay, so that is how this page is being structured, how this first page is being structured. So let's actually take a look at this, because we can add new item and we are getting redirected to this form, but you can see that the bottom disappears. So let's check that to the app component. So we're going to check the URL. Let me see something. Okay, I'm recording. So we're going to check the URL. We're going to subscribe to the events on the router, and we're going to check if the URL matches the add index. In case it matches the add index, this add item that is going to be a boolean is going to be set to false, and else, I mean, if it's not, it's going to be false. And if we have this on our index, meaning that we have this add item. So if I go back, we don't have that, so we are showing this. If I click here, we have that, and we are not showing that. Okay, and we are running this on init. So in case you need to subscribe, to check for that, for something, for some change on the URL, you can do that. And let's see how this is working. Okay, so we are using only no, this is not it. Where the hell am I? So let me check. So this should be, oh yeah, I'm using ngIf. I was looking for the navigation, but I don't have the navigation here. So this ngIf is going to check if the add items is true or false. And remove this item according to that. Okay, so that is how this item, this add new item link is working. Let's go to, let's check the one I just uploaded, that is check item. No, let's add another one, so you can see how we add another one. Let's go to, again, to Unsplash. Let's look for products. I think I'm going to Kutex. I'm going to use this one. So we can get here the image. Let's actually click here, add new item. So the add new item, remember that we have only 12 items inside your database. So let's add product image, paste that. We get this preview and text nail color, nails color. We copy that, paste that. I don't know how this thing should cost, maybe 10 bucks. And we submit. We get redirected. Let's go to the bottom and we can see that. Okay, here we need to refresh. Actually, let's refresh. And we have this text nails color inside our database now. So let's check the item. And we can see we have this edit page. So let's first check how the add item component works. Okay. So let's go to add item. Remember that you need to add, because we're using lazy loading, the React Forms module inside your module. Okay, you will have this rip of course, but remember that. And let's actually go to the component, and the component is doing quite a few things. So we are setting first this items form that is going to have the name, description, amount, and image, and in this case are managed here to be just set strings, but these ones are actually for this on change that we're going to check in a second. So let me go to the items so you can see what this thing doing. So in our form we are setting this form group and call items form. That is the thing we have here, items form. Okay, so we're going to add the control name of each input depending on what we expect for that input. Okay, from control amount, for control name amount, image, name, and description. Okay, and here we have our preview. Let me add some space in there. We have our preview there, and when we click this submit type input, in case this is not a valid form, we are not going to show. We're going to not give the user. I'm clicking. You can hear I'm clicking. We are not going to give the user the chance to submit an empty object or an object that has no property on it. So we're checking for that, and in case everything is fine, we're going to add this ng submit. So when we click submit, we pass the value of this form, meaning the name, description, image, and amount, into this add item. So we are using this add item function and passing the value of the form. Now we are going to call the service and this post item. What is this? Let's go to the service and let's go to post item. And okay, it's down here. So the post item is going to receive an object, in this case that is a form data, and we're going to set the headers, the new HTTP headers. Remember that you need to import those. Okay, we need the headers to be JSON, because we're going to send that to the Node Express, and we're going to build this object, simple name object, with the name, image, description, and amount that is coming from this item object. That is this object that has this form data. Okay, so we are setting we are calling this post item and passing that object, the form data object, and then subscribing to that. And I'm just subscribing because I'm just consoling that. We can see here. Okay, it didn't console. Oh, because I refreshed that. Okay, I saved that and it refreshed. So I'm just subscribing because I want to navigate the user again to the root page, that is the main page, that is this one with all the items. Okay, so that's the only reason I'm subscribing to that. You can do whatever you want with that, but now that we are using this post item, what it is doing is just calling this the server is posting, is making a post request using the HTTP client module to this that server. That this that server is what we have here, the localhost 8000 with the /items. So in our server, and of course we're going to stringify the object and pass the headers. So this is how a post request looks on Angular. So let's go to routes. Remember that we are making a post request, okay, add an item. So we are making a post request to this /items, managing the request response, and we should need next in this kind of functions. So we are consoling that, so we can see that we have the QText nails color. Remember, all the consoles you do here are going to be inside the console you have, being the CMD or this Git bash. With all the properties we added, so remove that. And here we're going to set this new item. So this new item is going to be added into Mongo. So we need to pass an ID. Mongo creating the ID, but let me go to the, because I'm using, where we're going to use the models. Okay, so let me go to the models that I have here. The item model, that is just a regular model with the object ID, the name, the description, the amount, and the image, the properties we want it to have, and setting the model to have the schema we have here. So in this case, our model is called item, and we export that. So we can use it inside our route, importing, well, using this require from models, the item we are exporting, the item model, and we name it the same name, item. And we're using Mongoose too, because we need Mongoose in order to connect, to make these kind of queries. So we're using post. So that's why we are having this new item, because this is the model. This is using the model we have here. We are importing here with the schema. So, and we are setting the name, image, description, and amount, the same things we have on our schema. And we are creating here a new Mongoose object ID. So a new ID for the element. Remember that the element should have or need to have the ID. So how does that look in the, okay, so this is the ID that is being created. Okay, this underscore ID. And now, after we have this, here everything should be fine. We call save. If there's an error for the save, we're going to respond with the status 400. So we need to respond with JSON on HTTP client. Remember that we need to respond with JSON if expecting a JSON request. I mean a JSON response. Okay, so we respond with a message. The item was not saved for any reason. Something wrong with Mongo or Mongoose, and we respond with the error message. Okay, and in case everything went fine, we just respond with a 201 that was the item is created, and the message item was created successfully, and that's all. So that's how we are creating the item. We are passing the item from this form inside Angular. Okay, let me create another one. Is there something here? What is this? I'm just looking for something that has just fucking creams. Okay, maybe this one. Oh yeah, this one's. Okay, let me copy this. Some product name, black glasses. You can see that we are getting this here, but since we are using the form controls and all that, we cannot use the ng model. So I will show you in a second. Well, let me show you right now. So let me paste this thing so we get that. So remember, let's go with this service. So when we pass the when we click submit, we get this add items. We call this add items function with the values inside our form. Then with this add item, we are going to call the service post item, passing this data, the form data, and subscribing to that, and refresh or not refresh, reroute, redirect, I mean, the user to the main page. And inside our items, we're calling, we're setting the headers, we are setting the object, and we are returning whatever we respond, even if it's an error, from this request, this post request inside our index, not our index, but our route. I know that might be a little complicated, but it's just all the same thing. So these items on which we are setting the Mungus item, the model, we're getting the model, and we are setting what we want to have inside our database. We're calling this save function, and these are the two responses we have, even if we have an error or we have a successful response. Now that we know that, for the preview, I'm checking if the image starts with HTTP and showing that, else show the placeholder. The placeholder is just the image. Let me cut that. It's just this image. Okay, this image I have on the client, source, assets, and it's these images. Okay, that's the thing I'm doing in order to check and to make the change on the preview. Okay, so this image, let me see. Oh, because this is not the. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because why is that? What we are doing here is checking for this. This is the image, okay? Variable while checking. So if this image is empty or null, we're not going to display anything else. We're only going to display the default image we have here. And if we add that, it's going to have this input. It's going to have the value, and we're going to check if that value starts with HTTP and all that. Okay, this is of course, if it's not an image, it will not show anything. But this is just a simple demo. So this is how I'm using that. You can get any other ideas with this. So, but you might be thinking, okay, if we cannot use ng model, how we are getting black classes? How is that we are getting all this? And let's say 30 bucks. So why we are using, I mean, how we are getting all this? Because we are subscribing to the on-change. Let me go to the items. I told you we have this on form change, and on init we are going to subscribe to the changes in the form. This is the only way we can get the what we have on the inputs and pass it to some other place on the template. So we need to subscribe. And what is items? What is this items form? Is the form we actually have. So we need to subscribe to those values, and this values is going to contain. I think I'm even considering that. That is, this is going to contain the name, the description, the amount, and the image that are all these four inputs inside our form or form group. So we need to pass. We need a way to set the values to something inside our Angular template. So we're going to call, once we subscribe, we're going to call to this onForm changes and pass those values, and those values inside have, as I show you, an object with the name of the inputs. So inside we're going to set the values to whatever thing we have. If it's the name, we're going to look for the name and set that. So every time we type, we're going to fire all these on changes. And that's how if we go to the add item, we're using amount, name, description, and where is the an image that are this name, this amount, this description, and this image that are here. Okay. Of course, you need to import the service to be able to use the service functions and the router. Okay, I will build something maybe for the beginners, the people that really don't know how to do this, that really don't know anything about this. So I will build something simple from scratch. But yeah, this is how this thing is working. We need to subscribe to the value changes on the form and pass that into a variable we have inside our template, inside our component, to be able to interpolate that in our template. Okay, so that's how that's why we are getting this whenever we type, because we are subscribing to those changes. So I think I didn't add this one. So let me submit, and that makes the call to the server and adds the black glasses. Now we're going to check the item, and here we have this update form, and to delete this item, that this is the last two things on this application. So let's go to the item itself. In this case, I'm going to tell you first, we need the activator route in order to get the ID, because you might see that we are using this item and passing the ID. This is how we are getting all the information from Mongo using Express. Okay, so that's why we need activator route, because we need the parameter inside the URL. Okay, what we are getting here. The item ID is using, well, we're going to use the route snapshot to get the param, and which param? The ID. So here we have a set of parameters, and what we are looking is the ID. Okay, oh, whoops, okay. So this is the same thing. I think, let me see, because yeah, all these definitions are for the same thing, for the onChange. We need to subscribe to this onChange. Why? Because I'm displaying here, you can see that we have the same behavior. So if I change something, we see the changes, okay? So, yeah, we are subscribing to the value changes from our update input form. That is the same form, only with a different name. And the difference is that we are already passing the values. I'm going to show you next how that is working. So when we first start, we call this GetItem. Right now, we grab the ID we are passing here, because you can see, okay, whichever works. Wait, let me go like this. Remember that this thing has a link, this one, inspect. So we are passing the routed link using the item, and then passing the word item, and then passing the ID. Okay, so let me show you once more inside items how I'm building that link. Okay, this is the routed link. I'm passing the item and the item underscore ID. So let me close that. Let me go to item again, to the component. So we are getting the ID here. We grab the most important thing, that is the ID for the element. And now we need to make a call to this GetItem inside our service and pass this item ID, that is this one. Okay. And let me check. Okay. Subscribe to that, because it's going to respond with the item with the ID. I mean with the ID, with the item that matches that ID. And we just need to set the values. We're going to set this form. Let me go here, because you might be thinking, what is that? Is this form the update form? We're going to set the values to be whatever we respond from the server. So how is this GetItems working, or GetItem? Let's go to the service. Let's go to GetItem. That is only returning this HTTP client.get, or call to our server, that is a GET request to the item, and passing the item ID. Now let's take a look at the index, not the index, the item route. So it's this one, the get. Remember that this is how we tell Express that we want or that we are going to pass a parameter. So this is the get request, and we are looking inside the find by ID, the database. We are using the model. We need to import the model. Well, the model we already have imported here. And this request params ID is the request is going to be here. This is the way we get the request params inside Express. Okay, so we are going to get, let me check item, we're going to get this ID. And we use the find by ID, passing the ID we already have from the request. And if there's an error, if that ID doesn't exist, we're going to respond with this 400 error with a message and an error message. And if not, if everything is fine, the item is found, we're going to respond with this status 200, a JSON response with a message and an item. So let me go to the service. That is GetItem. So and this is what we are doing. It's responding. This one is responding with the element that we have inside our database, matching the ID we passed. Okay. Let me check if I'm missing something. I think that's all. We're using the same preview, the same way to preview. Checking if the image is well, it's, yeah, this is the, no, sorry, this is the here. Okay. Anyways, no, we're not using the same. Let me check. No, we're just going to check if this item is added. That item is this one. If the item is present, meaning it has something, that the server responded with the item from the database, and we're going to use that to build all this part. Okay, so it's the product image that you can see is this one. Okay, let me add some spacing. Well, not to that, because this is the actual div we are looking at right now with the delete item button that is on top. That is this one. And if the server responded with an item, then we can get the ID of the item and all the information from the unchanges. Okay, that's the only thing we're checking. And yeah, that's it. Later I'm going to build something, don't worry. This is just a code review. This is not a tutorial. I'm going to build something with this, so don't worry about it. I'm going to show you how to create a Node.js Express server and make some simple requests, so you can see how you can have a basic version of this, even though this is a basic demo. So yeah, and lastly we have this delete item. Let's click it. We get redirected, and I can't remember which one. Oh, is it not working? Didn't I delete this? Yeah. Oh, I had two of those. Let me click this. No, check item. Okay, some little UX tip. People will see this and will think, okay, this is because it's big, this is the way you can access it. Okay, and they try to click it. So it should be you should add above this functionality, this check item that allows us to go, you should make this a square a link to. Okay, so the user clicks, is clicking, and is okay, it's not working. Why is not working? Why you show me this big, this image that big, and it's not? No, because we're already used to click on something that is that size, and it's taking a lot of space, and you might think that you can click on this. Okay, so you should be able to add a link into this, and just continue with that. But that's just a little tip. And what else? Okay, the delete item. If we click delete item, okay, we delete that item, and let me go to the other. So let me refresh. We had 13. Now we have 11. Let's delete one more. No check. I will check item and delete item. And okay, that is gone. We refresh that. Not at this time, because in this page there's nothing else. Let's go to home. Let's go to node stripe. And let's go to, nope, to items. You can see that we have 10 documents in this collection. And that's it. So how this thing is working, we're calling this delete item, that this delete item is inside our component, and we are passing the string that is the item underscore ID. Okay, so from the item we can get the item ID, so that's what we are passing. So check, yeah, that's the way I'm passing that. Let me check something. Yeah, because this is the preview. This is the preview. That's why I added that here, because here we have the item image, and we're using the amount to be able to show that. So we are returning all that is from the item, and we can access the item ID. Let me close this one. And thus we are passing the string item ID, and we are calling the delete item, passing the item ID and subscribing to that only to redirect the user to the main page. So let's go to the service and delete item. Oh, I didn't show you the put request, right? Man, I'm so fucking stupid. Okay, let's finish with this one. Let's finish with delete item, because here we are checking that, and we will check of the item last. So I'm using this request to be able to make a delete. I'm not making a post, I'm making other stupid shit. I'm making a delete request, okay, because Node can manage the delete request. So I'm setting this object with the ID, because I need to pass the ID somehow, okay, and I'm setting the headers, the application JSON. So I'm calling this request, and this request is going to have first the method we are going to use, that is delete, and we build or call using the server and the route. Then for that route, passing the item ID, that the item ID, where am I? Okay, the item ID, yes, it's this one. And we need to pass, okay, this manages the request for the correct instance, but we need to pass in the body this object to be able to grab it, okay, because this is how this request works. We build the request and then pass the object inside the request, so Node and Express can get that in the route. Let's go to delete. So we're going to have in the body this ID. I think I'm consoling that. Yes, I'm just consoling ID. These are the items that we already deleted. So we're going to set, we're going to get the model and call the delete one, passing the ID that's going to match the request ID. Okay, I hate that it closes my other tabs. So remember that we have this ID inside our object that we are passing inside the body. So that's why I hate this shit. Item. Okay. So that's why we are getting this ID. We need to pass it using the request. Okay. That's what I'm concerning, and that's what we are using in order to let Mongoose know what to pass for Mongo to delete. If there's an error, we're going to respond with the 404. Item was not found, it was already deleted, or something, okay, meaning the item is not there anymore. And if we manage to delete, we're going to respond only the item was deleted, and that's the only thing. So let's finish with the put. So the put is going to when we click this, I didn't show you this screen bottle, updated, submit. I usually want to update this item, yep. And we refresh in order to have that, because I wanted to refresh. I think that was the only reason that I wanted to do that. I didn't want the user to be redirected to the main page, so I just used, let's go to item, this update item. So this is what we are using when we click the update. We're going to set this confirm to, and that is the alert that you saw there. I usually want to update this item. If you are sure, meaning if this is true, this confirm submit will be true or false. If this is true, then you click, well, I just added, you click yes, and we call the update item, that is just sending a post request, a put request. Okay, man, I hate this thing. I really hate this thing. We send a put request, not a post request. Okay, we send a put request. You can see that because Angular can manage that type of request, and we only pass what we have, from the form, and we pass this item ID because we need this item ID in order to tell Mongoose what to update. So we're going to make this call using put to the server with in the route item, passing that item ID and passing the object and the headers. So now let's go to the item. So we are going to have in this body, we're going to have the object. Okay, I'm considering that so you can see. Dry gene bottle updated with all the things. Okay. So we're calling find by ID and update. The request body we're going to pass. Sorry. This is the ID. Okay, we need, in order to tell Mongo what to update, and here we use set special function or property that tells Mongo what each value is going to be. And here we manage or the error or the response of the item. If there's an error, then we just respond with a status 400 and all that shit. And if everything is fine, we respond with the item updated and the item that was updated. But now, inside our item component, once we respond with that, we're going to set again, we're going to refresh or re-render this route, this is just a placeholder, but we're going to use this skip location change in order to make this remount or re-render, however you want to call. So we are able to see actually the changes. Okay, so we are able to get all the changes updated, and you don't need to refresh or to redirect, because sometimes people are going to redirect to the main route, because since this is Mongo, this is not Firebase, okay, you won't see this. Well, of course you will see this, but inside is not actually refreshed. So we refresh the page so we can get the correct instance of the data inside Mongo. Okay, that's the only reason we're going to refresh this page, because I'm interested in having the correct set of data. And let's say bottle, okay, and let's update again. Yep. So after the refresh, we have the correct set. We know we are working with the correct set that is inside the database. Okay, so that's the only reason, because sometimes you will need to work with the correct information, and since this isn't a Firebase, it's not going to reload by itself. Okay, so I think that's it. And this was kind of a long video, almost 1 hour, but I think you should get the idea of how this let me close all this shit, let me close this, of how this kind of application works using Mongo, adding some little details like this, and the self refresh of the page. And yeah, you should get the idea of how to work with this. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this video here, and maybe later I will create a new project showing you how to create the Node.js and the server, and how to connect using all this, following this repo, just to make something simple. So yeah, so that's it, and see you on the next one.